Hi everyone, my name is Alex and I'm a fifth year dental student. I'm here today to talk to you about sources, study and exam techniques for anatomy, embryology and histology.
3, 2, 1, let's start!
The first thing I would like to talk about is anatomy. I know that many medical schools offer a book list to students as a guideline on what to study, but I'm just going to offer you a few of my recommendations that really helped me understand and pass the exams. So if you're doing Anatomy 1, which is usually the musculoskeletal system, I know it is in our school, I would recommend the TME locomotor system. It's volume 1 of a series of flexi books, and they continue into internal organs and the nervous system and sensory organs. These TME flexi books are really helpful for theory and background knowledge on how things work. For an atlas, I would recommend the Netter Atlas of the Human Anatomy, for the simple reason that it's very concise. All 3 anatomy levels are in one book, and it is a very good price. I would also recommend the TME atlases. However, there are 3 volumes. They are more expensive, and although they do contain theory, it's not enough theory to actually pass the exam. So it's up to you which one you prefer, but I would definitely recommend Netter. As a revision guide, I would also recommend Netter's anatomy flashcards. They're absolutely brilliant. They contain most of the pictures that are in the Netter Atlas, but on the back they have the innervation, function and movements of all of the muscles in the joints. And that's really helpful for test questions. So now that you know my recommendations for things to study and books to read, I would like to give you some tips on studying. First, take your Netter Atlas and learn all of the names and parts of the bones, joints, or whatever you happen to be learning at that point. It's really handy to know the names so that when you move on to the theory in the Flexi TME books, that you don't have to keep going back to the atlas and wasting time. Once you know the names, take your TME Flexi book and read up on the background theory so you get a proper understanding of the workings of the human body. Lastly, as a revision guide, I would take the Netter flashcards because they're really concise and it will let you know if you have any holes in your knowledge or things you need to go back over before the test. For medical students in my university, a tip would be to concentrate on the Netter Atlas and the Netter flashcards, since a lot of the questions in the first test will be about names. So now that we're done with anatomy, I'd like to talk to you about histology books. Whether or not you're studying at our university, I would recommend De Fiore's Atlas of Histology or the Team Flexi book, a color atlas of cytology, histology, and microscopic anatomy. If you are studying at our university, I would also print out our website material and the slides that are on the website. One of my tips to you guys is to actually make them like little photographs about this size, spiral them week by week, and then when you go through the books and when you're at the lectures, you can actually write on the back and make them like flashcards, and that's really great for your revision. So guys, once you've got these histology books, here are my tips for studying them. Firstly, I would take De Fiore's Atlas of Histology and get an overall background view about the topic that you're studying. Then, for people who are studying in my university, I would take the website material with the slides as well as the TME Flexi book and kind of combine them to make your flashcards. There are some things that are specific to the website which our teachers want you to know, but then there's other more general knowledge within the TME Flexi book, and everything in the Flexi book that has a picture is also numbered. So it's really helpful for you to see exactly what cells are what and which cartilage is where and so on. Once you've made your flashcards, they're going to be really helpful for you for the couple of days before the exam when you're revising. You basically just look at the picture on the front, tell yourself everything that you can remember about that slide, and then turn it over and correct yourself if needs be. When you're actually in the exam, this is more for the end of the year, but I think if you try to apply it now while you're taking your histology seminars, you'll be trained, so when you get into the exam, it'll be automatic for you. When you look at a slide, don't immediately try to name it. Just look and see what you see in the microscope. List the cells you see, the functions you remember. Look at the background. What is the tissue that the cells are in? List all of these things, and once you've listed everything you can see, start a process of elimination. Okay, if it's not epithelia because it doesn't have such and such a cell, throw out epithelia. If it's not bone marrow because it doesn't have this specific cell that bone marrow has, throw out bone marrow. You will narrow the list to a couple of slides, and then you have to remember that each slide has something very specific in it. Look for that specificity, and when you find it, then name the slide. This will make sure that you haven't misread the slide, you've looked properly at the side, you've looked all around the slide, not just in the image that the microscope shows you. Move the microscope around, and therefore it ensures that you will have not made a mistake. So the examiner will not immediately fail you because the slide is wrong. You will then be able to tell the examiner everything that you've written down and explain why and name the slide at the end. This will impress the examiner and give you a higher grade. My tip for those who are taking the histology exam in my school is to concentrate on the theory and cellular functions. Those are the most likely questions to come up. For embryology, I would recommend Langmann's Medical Embryology. I would take the drawings from the books, the theory, and try and make your own little notes. Try to understand the process of how the fetus is growing, because that's what the teachers want you to concentrate on. My last tip is, when you're studying for these exams, at least in our school, the exam is altogether anatomy, histology, and embryology. Don't neglect histology and embryology. Most people try to focus on anatomy, but they're still very important subjects too. Finally, I would like to give you guys some quick tips about doing the anatomy exam. I know that it might apply to people in other universities, it might not, but this really helped me. Firstly, guys, please stop studying at least half an hour before the test. You need to relax, you need to empty your mind, you need to calm down and focus so that you are completely concentrated during the exam, you're not all shaky and all over the place, and you can give your best. In our university, the answer sheet has numbers going down on one side and blank boxes for the answers going down the other side. My recommendation is to put one finger next to the number and hold your pen opposite in the blank box. And as the questions come, you move your finger and the pen down so that you don't write the correct answer in the wrong box, because you will lose points. A very important tip that I really want you guys to remember is read the question slowly. So many of my friends have come out of the exam complaining that they only read a couple of words in the question and not the whole thing, and then got the question wrong. Read it slowly, take your time. You have enough time to read the question and look at the picture or whatever the question is asking and answer if you concentrate. My final recommendation is that if you don't know the answer to a question, skip it. You do not want to be sitting there thinking about the question and then realize that the slide has changed, because the test is a slideshow, and then you can't go back and you don't know which question you're on and you'll mess up the whole exam. So I wish the best of luck to everybody in my uni who has the test on Friday, and also for those not taking the test or in a different medical university. I hope that my recommendations and study technique tips are helpful. See you later. Bye!